Now, BBC HD, it's time to take another look at that Life Less Ordinary with Emma Summers. Some scenes may not be suitable for younger viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, this is Emma. Welcome to another exciting episode of A Life Less Ordinary. This is episode 6 and is titled Spilling the Beans, and is going to be about how to come out to your friends and family and what the effects of that might be. This last video should have been episode 5, but I accidentally put episode 4 on the credits, so if people were wondering what the deal was, that was just an error. So okay, when me and Ben had met, we had been going out probably for 2 weeks, and then he was not aware of the fact that I was transgender. 2 friends of his had approached him and had said that he should be asking some questions to figure out what the deal with me was. Ben approached me one evening and said that he needed to talk about a few things, and immediately that sent off alarm bells in my head, because that meant, to me at least, that he was aware of something to do with me being transgender, and I just totally was not prepared for that at all. So I ran away. and he called me and asked for a meeting, and I reluctantly agreed, and so he came over to the house, and then we spent the next 2 hours probably talking about the transition and what I was going through, and the fact that I was transgender and how that would affect things. And obviously he'd had a few like an inkling that something was, you know, maybe kind of like that, but didn't have all of the information, certainly wasn't 100% sure. And so basically what he said was that he would need some time to sort of mull it over in his head and figure it out for himself. Right?
Yep.
I mean, how was that when you first heard? How did you feel?
Well, it was definitely a little frustrating, and then the type of life that I grew up in, the experiences and everything that I'd ever gone through, I had not met a transgender or intersex person, but I had definitely been experienced with life, and there were some ideas that transferred over on a parallel level. And those were home ideas to me. They made a lot of sense. It was really easy for me to take just one little step further. It was kind of like I had already had training wheels to like picking and choosing and loving on a person for who they are, you know, rather than, you know, only having a sexual experiences, or, you know, only looking for certain things. Like, you know, I had had some of those things instilled in me. So, you know, that was within those few days. You know, some of the things that had hit my mind, and, you know, long-term effects, and, you know, when people do find out, and all of that. And I think the biggest step for me was, you know, just for today, and that didn't work. It was too much time. So it was just for the hour, and just for 5 minutes at a time. You know, how do we get through one situation or make one decision to the next? And I think after a few days, things got a little bit more simpler. Emotions and the idea that we had wanted to try to build some sort of quality relationship was still strong. So that's what we did.
I think part of the thing that made that easier was the fact that we had built a friendship beforehand, and so Ben knew me quite well. Although he wasn't aware of that one aspect of my life, he certainly knew about other aspects of my life. And so when I came out and mentioned that other piece of information to him, that yes, I was transgender, and that I was intersex, and then basically it was a lot simpler for him to take that next step, as he just said. And by the way, Ben is our special guest for tonight.
I am Pockets, the unseen voice.
The unseen boyfriend. We did that whole thing last week.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. So once that happened, and Ben had some time, and we decided that yes, we wanted to pursue a relationship together, the next thing came to be his friends. And there were a few people who had joined my Facebook and had seen various articles that I posted on Facebook about being transgender and different news stories. And so they had kind of had the cat let out of the bag to a certain degree. And some of them had kind of been talking amongst themselves. Ben and I share an awful lot of friends together. And I met them all through him, and that's wonderful, and I'm very grateful for that. And so some of them were already talking about, hey, you know, why is Emma posting these things on her Facebook, and, you know, what's the deal there? And so basically what I did is I went round each person that I had already become friends with and sat them down and said, I realise there's some speculation going on as to, you know, why I'm posting these stories on my webpage, and so here's why. And I actually had very good responses. Certainly by doing it that way, you avoid any misunderstandings and miscommunications, because you're coming out yourself and giving the information that is accurate information, rather than them getting a piece of this and a piece of that and then making up their own conclusion. It's certainly much easier when you go forward and say, okay, this is what the deal is, this is what the situation is. You're putting all of your cards on the table, and then basically they can either take it or leave it. And I was very lucky in the sense that I didn't lose anyone, and I certainly didn't lose anybody in my family when I did that a long time ago, or to my other friends that I had. So it was a very positive experience for me. Certainly coming out is easier when you pass, that's for sure. I know that things are a bit difficult for some of the transsexuals out there who do not pass, and who perhaps are a little bit older in life, who are trying to go down this path for the first time. That can be a little bit more difficult when you've already had a life that's been established, with a wife and kids and a job that you've probably been at for a while and have been successful, and you've built all of these male mannerisms and behaviours, and you've built them up so strongly because you've been hiding what's going on inside, excuse me, that it can be difficult then to try and come out to those people, because in that sense there's a lot more to lose. I certainly had things to lose in my life. You know, I lost visitation with my children, which just destroyed me. But that's something that I'm working on fixing at the moment. You know, parents can be either extremely understanding or extremely not understanding. It's kind of, you know, a toss of the coin. It depends what sort of a relationship you have with your family. And it may be easier to go to your mom rather than your dad, or in other cases, you know, obviously the male parent might be closer to you and more willing to listen to things. Certainly parents are a wonderful resource for support if you have that. And one of the worries that has been is that there's so many transgender people that commit suicide. that maybe they wouldn't have done so or wouldn't have attempted to do so had their family been more understanding. So ways that you can do this, ways that you can come out. One way that I used with certain people was I wrote a letter to a huge, like 100 people, copied 100 people on it, and I said to them at the end of the letter, I said, I realise this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you do decide that you don't want to be in my life, then I will understand, because I realise it's a big thing to swallow, it's a lot to take. And like I said before, I actually did not lose anyone. And the thing with a letter is, you aren't then bombarded by their immediate shocked response. You can put down everything that you want to say in the letter, and they can read part of it and then take some time to digest some of it, and then they can read the rest of it, and then they can have some time to think and digest it fully before they come to you and start talking to you about what you've just let out, you know. I'm trying to think. That's Mocha. You want to say hi, Mocha? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, baby. It's the baby Mocha.
I know with a good number of people that we talk to, you know, after a few minutes, they, you know, usually had mentioned that, well, I kind of had an idea, you know, something was kind of awry, and they're like, well, I didn't know how to go about it, or maybe someone was really good at reading auras and energies, and they could look at Emma and they could say, something, but they didn't quite know.
Something's not quite right.
Yeah, so definitely getting some peace to them and saying this is this and that's that, and this is the long-term plan, and you know, these are some of the things that we need to deal with on a daily, weekly basis, and having good, safe places to be, to spend life, and to make friends, and to have friends, and to be able to even speak openly, or, you know, even refer people to these videos here. They're definitely a really great learning tool.
I think one other piece of advice that I would like to give is be totally honest with everybody. It certainly makes things a lot easier when you're not trying to hide behind things. And if you're honest with everyone equally, then you don't have to try and remember what you told one person and what another person might know about you, and it's all even on the same level. Also, when it comes to employers, I would certainly go and talk to the HR department. This isn't something I've had to do yet, so some of my documentation still says male and some of it says female. So I'm kind of all up in the air as far as that goes at the moment, and I'm currently not working, but when I do start working, obviously that's something that I'm going to have to take into consideration. So yeah, HR departments are usually pretty good if you explain what the situation is, and it usually helps to wait till you're not on a probationary period at the beginning of a job. So that's definitely a piece of advice that I would give. You know, talk to your psychiatrists or your counsellors and build up a plan of how you're going to do this, how you're going to come out, and what the pros and the cons of doing so are. So I think that's all I've got for today.
One other thing I was able to value very much is that there's probably 100+ people in our life, but there's at least 10 to 15 people on a weekly basis that we can be, you know, open, honest, sincere, genuine, and safe, and the connection and the bond that we've been able to kind of take things to the next level. You know, we make reference to having an elite group of people in our life that have very kind, caring hearts, because we took the risk or the gambling chance to come to them and give them this choice. They've chosen to continue to keep us in their life, and for that I really don't know if you could put any money on that.
Yeah, it's definitely priceless.
as far as terms of being grateful.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure I actually raised a lot more questions than what I answered, but please feel free even to write in and ask me those questions, and I'll certainly do my best to answer those in a future episode. I hope you all enjoyed Sister Mary Catherine last week. She will be making another appearance this week, just after the credits of this episode. So enjoy, and I will look forward to talking to you guys next week. Bye bye. By the light of the moon.
Beak.
Hello, my name is Sister Mary Catherine, and it's time again for another one of my stories. A husband and wife were attending a small church service at the local church on Sunday. The man was very moved by the preacher's sermon, so he stopped to shake the preacher's hand. "Reverend, that was the best damn sermon I ever heard." The Reverend replied, "Oh, why, thank you, sir, but please, I'd appreciate it if you didn't use that kind of language in the church." "I'm sorry, Reverend, but I can't help myself. It was such a damn good sermon." The Reverend replied, "Sir, I cannot have you behaving this way in the Lord's house." "Okay, Reverend, but I wanted you to know that I just thought it was so damn good that I put $5,000 in the collection plate." The Reverend's eyes opened wide as he remarked, "No shit." I hope you all enjoyed today's story. Now, if you'd all like to cross yourselves with me, omnibus, trolleybus, shopping cart, anus. Bless you all.